Message for my people.
Nick Dab, baby. We the new label.
Yeah. Now this the black sheep sticking its home. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose.
So, joining me now is truthfully one of my favorite wide receivers of all time. And I want to start this show off welcoming Brandon Marshall to Veterans Minimum with a gift.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is nice. This is the best intro I've ever been a part of. It's on the podcast.
The bag is a little weird. I get it, but that's all they had at the store. I know you're a tequila guy.
Yeah.
Based off the last time you was in here, you crushed a whole ass bottle of tequila with Devontae. I was working
Yo, wasn't
your show.
that legendary?
Dude.
I didn't think he was going to drink with me.
I didn't
Thank
think
you.
he was going to drink with you. No, of course, man. And there's also a hat in there from the show, too.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, man, you were in here. You did I Am Athlete, and truthfully, bro, that was one of the coolest experiences because that show was dope. You guys just crushing the tequila, and I was like, you know what, man? Because last time you were here, also, you took care of me after the show, and it meant a lot.
Took care of you.
You know what you did, bro.
I honestly don't remember.
You don't remember? All right, I'll keep it between us. But you hooked me up with something, man, and it meant a lot to me. So that's why I figured I'd give you some merch and give you that nice bottle of tequila.
My guy, I appreciate that.
Nah, of course, man. Yo, listen, I also got to say, you're the reason why I'm not in more than one fantasy league anymore in my life.
Explain.
You're the case study for why you shouldn't be in more than one fantasy league because I had you in fantasy one year and you scored a touchdown and it helped me on 2 teams. And then it burned me on like 5. So you score a touchdown and I'm hyped as hell. And then I'm like, man, this guy scored a touchdown that killed me in so many other teams.
Right. Dang.
So ever since then, I play in one league with my friends. And you're forever wide receiver 1. In 2012, when you were with the Bears, 118 for 1508 and 11 touchdowns.
Yeah, that was a legendary year.
That was a great year. First year with Cutler again, reuniting.
That's right.
You were my wide receiver, bro, and that was my first big money league. So that's also what that tequila is for. I know it's 11 years of interest coming back now.
Jeez, I love it. Listen, you know when I first realized that I was famous, I don't know which one's smaller. I was a smaller person, famous or celebrity, was when the second time I came to Vegas, right out here. I walked out here. We were walking through some hotel, and someone walked up to me and they were like, "Yo, Brandon, thank you for what you did for me on fantasy football." Fantasy football started bringing football players more to the forefront and more visible. So I respect it.
So do you respect it? Because I'm sure you also probably had some wild tweets or messages from people as far as on a game that you didn't do too well. Did you ever deal with that side of fantasy too? Because I've heard some horror stories.
Yeah, honestly, bro, like I never really paid attention. Still to this day, I don't really pay attention to much noise or the hate. Right? Few things. One, I think whatever you can consume, you become. So there is a level of protection that I put around myself as far as like what I read, what I watch. But it always gets through though, right? Because you have family, you have friends. Sometimes
they hear it.
You might walk into the cafeteria and some network is talking about you. So it does get there. But I never went searching for it, right? Ever. And then also, I truly believe that I'm just built a little differently where I just don't give a damn. And then also I'm a guy that's been in trouble at times as well and early on in my career. So, it made me look at myself quicker than maybe my peers. And what I realized was everybody fuck up. Right. My fuck ups is just so happening going to be on ESPN, on the ticker. Right. So it is what it is. So you kind of get used to being talked about. Right. That comes with it. That's actually why we get paid the big bucks. If you think about it, the difference between amateur athletes and pro athletes, a lot of times it's all mental. Right. There's a lot of phenomenal men and women that can hoop, that can play volleyball, that can hit a golf club. But when the pressure's on or when it's really competitive or something hurts in your body, you can't perform at a high level. So
That's the separator.
or even the stress. Look at Ben Simmons, right? Like, I truly believe he had the yips. Like Ben Simmons, there's nobody in this world that can tell me that his trajectory shouldn't have been Magic Johnson, and it still may be. But this dude, 6'9", he's 6'10", Magic Johnson 6'9", both played power forward in college, both moved, transitioned to point guard, both got flashy passes, get crazy handle, right? Can't really shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened? Where was the breakdown? You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think it's mental. And sorry to be so long-winded.
No, man, that's also a big part of your brand too, because I feel like you're one of the first big name.
You got me, man. I'm about to take a little
Yeah,
sip.
I wish we would have had some ice, but I wanted to surprise you. Didn't want to give it away.
Maybe our team will bring us in a glass or something.
But dude, I feel as if you were one of the first big name athletes that kind of was outspoken about mental health in the mental health space.
Yeah.
How much of that played a role into you deciding not to deal with all that social media and the scrutiny? Because, like you said, you bring up a good point, man. And I feel like not a lot of people realize that sometimes. It's not just you that got to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's a family member.
That's
right.
right.
Maybe they recognize them at a supermarket and they come up to them like, man, yo, how come Brandon didn't score a touchdown over the weekend or whatever it might be? So what led you to be a sort of an activist and spokesman for mental health?
Yeah, wow, that's a really good question. So you talked about what role did mental health and my journey around mental health play with me, having my blockers on and not seeing the hate or whatever, the commentary. It actually played a huge role, right? There's 320 million Americans, and almost 100 million Americans are living with some type of mental health disorder or some type of challenge. And also what you just said, you got family members, loved ones that it also touched. So for everyone that's living with something, you touch 5 to 6 people.
It's a trickle-down effect.
Your loved one,
Yeah.
your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your children, your neighbor. So it definitely affects all of us. So I threw them numbers out there because when you look at the numbers and you really look at it, it's like, damn, everybody dealing with something, right? And so it was there on the campus of McLean Hospital where I was like, I don't know, I walked away with this confidence or this feeling of like, who cares about whatever anybody else think? Because I know they're dealing with something differently. True story, I left McLean Hospital after 3 months in that outpatient program, and I'm in this parking lot at Publix, and like this lady, and she was in the wrong. This lady had just road rage, just screaming at me, honking her horn, mother MFing me, whatever. And I looked at her with just like this curiosity, like, what is she going through? What's happening with her, right? Because that was how I viewed the world. That's how I still view the world. It's like everybody dealing with something. Everybody got skeletons in the closet, right?
Yeah.
As an athlete, your shit just play out in front of the world to hear and see. You know what I mean? That's the only difference. So what inspired me to talk about it was because my life was a living hell for a very long time. Right? Like, and a lot of times, like we say our guys are struggling when the game is taken away from them because their identity is wrapped up in the sport. So like my identity was truly wrapped up in football. The only thing I cared about my entire life was making it to the NFL. That's it. Mm-hmm. So at the age of 22, like my biggest dream came true. And I got money. I can travel to where I can do whatever I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until I was at McLean Hospital where I started dreaming again. Like, damn, can I Am Athlete really be a thing? Can House of Athlete really be a thing? You know what I'm saying? So like being there and seeing how my life was radically changed in 3 months is what inspired me to talk about it. Because like, damn, like how many people, here's what happened. So we're in this group therapy called self-assessment. Self-assessment is basically where you sit in a circle with 6, 7 people. It's also in the program or maybe just in this group therapy, and you just go around and talk about what's going on in your life. You can say whatever the hell you want to say. So this is the first time like ever in my life that I'm like, yeah, so last night this is what happened. I'm sad, or my feelings are hurt. Listening to other people that were predominantly women in this group. So I'm listening to how women are communicating totally different than men. And
Right.
so my mind is totally blown away. So there's one particular self-assessment. Everybody's going around. One lady literally says, I tried to take my life last night, okay? And now she's sitting here today, right? She tried to kill herself. There's another person that talked about, self-harming. And then you look down and she had a bandage on and blood seeping through her arm. And then it was me, this football player, telling my story, then this insurance broker, this lawyer. At the end of that, after hearing those stories, I never heard about self-harming before, right? I never dealt with suicide ideation, right? So hearing that, like, that was like a shocker to me. We all got up, walked in a parking lot, and we all went back to life like it was normal. In that moment, I was like, damn, we walking around doing life, working with people that are suffering, and we may not even know it. Like, we
never know.
There's a lot of people that ain't gonna know this lady tried to take her life last night. A lot of people ain't gonna see this bandage. She gonna cover that up. You ain't gonna see the blood seeping through her arm. And if you do, you're not even gonna think about self-harming. And so it was in that situation, in that moment, where I was like, I want to start a foundation. I want to do something about it, put a name and voices to it. And I was like one of the first athletes in a Primus career to do it, and now 10 years later, we have My Cause, My Cleats. We were able to push that through. 10 years later, now you're seeing guys being celebrated, talking about it. The NFL fined me for wearing lime green cleats on the field. That's how My Cause, My Cleats started. After that, we went into office, and I was like, man, there's other initiatives outside of breast cancer awareness that we should be talking about and highlighting. So we put this proposal together, and then they launched that. And now you're seeing guys not be fined for it, but actually raise money, around it, the Dak Prescotts of the world, et cetera, et cetera. So, a lot of work, our team has done, and a lot of work still to be done.
I didn't know that about the cleats, dude. It feels like your impact's going to supersede you.
Yeah.
With people being able to just express themselves on the field.
Yeah.
And then also what you've done with I Am Athlete, dude. I'm fascinated by people like you who your whole identity is being an NFL player, and then post-career. I see it a lot with fighters. I'm a big UFC fan.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of MMA guys that when their career is done, they don't have a way to identify themselves. I usually don't drink when I record, but I shall.
Welcome to a collaboration with I Am Athlete.
Let's go, man.
Here we go.
Let's go. But you transitioning into the second part of your career, man, how'd that come about? Because you've been super successful with it. I Am Athlete has over 1 million subscribers. Pretty much anyone you have on the show of substance, you're trending. You're on Twitter. ESPN is covering you. All these talk shows are covering you. Yeah. What led to you transitioning from the athlete to then being the media guy?
Yeah, having a plan, right? In 2014, I spent my entire offseason at Harvard building out a case study on transition. We studied Magic Johnson, Boomer Esiason, Doug Flutie, Keanu Reeves, Michael J. Fox, and so many athletes and artists that actually transitioned well into the next thing or parlayed what they were doing on the big screen, on the field, on the court, into something in the community. So everything was actually built to not monetize, but take the cultural currency that we had and turn that into, potentially the next Livestrong, Lance Armstrong. If you study their business model, right, like they made companies, corporations, billions of dollars off that yellow bracelet, off of their merchandise. They were in turn able to raise millions of dollars. So I'm kind of lazy a little bit, which is weird because I work my ass off. But I wasn't the type of dude that wanted to go around asking people for a $50,000 check, $100,000 check. I wanted to create commerce. I wanted to create business, right? Rev share models. And so, we had a plan there, and what came out of that was content and commerce. Magic Johnson. Why the hell? I couldn't understand why Magic Johnson was still on ESPN when he was worth or pushing, maybe $500 million. What are they going to be paying him? $3 million at that? Now I look at it, now that I'm in a business, he probably wasn't even making that. He probably was making like $800,000, but he was probably using that platform to continue
to grow everything else.
Yeah, to push the traffic everywhere else and keep his name relevant. So that's why I got into broadcasting and television. So right after that, I put together this thing where it was called, I was going to go on tour after every off season. I was going to go hit all the networks, ESPN, go out to Bristol, hit the car wash, and then go out to LA, hit all the entertainment stuff, E! News, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so I can have the reps and, and the relationships when I was ready to transition. after that first tour, I had like WME, CAA, all these people hit me up like, yo, we want to sign you as a broadcaster. I thought my football agent was going to be the one representing me there. But, I had this opportunity with at WME, Josh Pyatt, and then he ended up getting me a deal with Showtime inside the NFL as an active player. So I was taking like a private plane every Tuesday on the off season there in the prime of my career. Like, it was unheard of. First active athlete do full-time broadcasting. And so we just parlayed that. And then the commerce thing, right? So the commerce was Live Strong, right, from the case study. And so like my vision has always been to act and think like a businessman and not like a brand. And so, since that time, I've been, trying to figure out this health and wellness space and mental health space and also this content space. I'd be honest, I thought I was going to be on ESPN or FS1, potentially go to Michael Strahan route, crossover. Like, I'm really interested in that. But then the pandemic happened. Everybody's talking about ownership. You saw the transition from like traditional to new media and digital.
Oh, yeah.
And so I saw an opportunity to start a podcast. It turned into this cultural, social phenomenon. And we thought that we could bring other athletes along, produce other stories, get into scripted, get into daily, get into the digital space. And that's what we're doing. We're building out, another media platform, but owned by athletes.
Dude, it seems like that might be better too, man, because you don't really have no overhead to answer to. It's kind of you and your team, as opposed to you can't say this on this network, you can't say that on that network.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like you have more freedom?
Oh, 100%. That's one of the reasons why I had to leave FS1. I mean, also because it's got to a point where I had to like decide, like, it was taking too much of my time daily to do that show and also try to run I Am Athlete and House of Athlete. And so there was times on the network where, something happened, big news in the NFL. They have a partnership with the NFL. They're going to be bidding in 12, 18 months on the new TV deal.
Rights, yeah.
So you can go out there and say what you can go out there and think you can say what you want to say. But at the end of the day, like, they need to maintain that good relationship with the NFL, the NBA, et cetera, et cetera. So if something big happened around the NFL, some type of scandal with an owner or the league office, players, what they would do is then have a PR person call, somebody from communication call, like, okay, well, Brandon, what are you going to say tomorrow? Let's just talk through it. You say whatever you want to say. We want to hear it. Well, damn, I just did 3 months in a row. You ain't called me about none of the other stuff. You understand? So like, I've always been an outspoken guy. I've never like let anybody tell me what I can or can't say. So that's when I knew I was like, this ain't for me. That's one of the reasons why I got a lot of trouble and that kind of got this bad rap as a player, but like now you're seeing players start, say more and do more. You know what I'm saying? Stand up. Like, I was doing that shit in 2007, 2008. I don't care, owner or not. Like, it's about principle. Right is right, wrong is wrong. You understand? So, like, even what's going on with the running back market, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, they were supposed to be talking about this in January and February before the new league year started. But we're going to wait till training camp, a day before training camp, to actually get on a Zoom call?
Yeah, waited too long.
No, too late. So I ain't even sipped my tequila yet. You got me going.
I got you going,
Salute.
man. Cheers, man. Thank you. The running back position is fascinating, dude. But, I've never had a chance to talk to a wide receiver, especially one of your stature, too. I got this take about the wide receiver position, and to ask you, I think would be great. I think it's the most unique position in professional sports. I think now you're talking to someone that was first team All-City in New York City as a quarterback.
That's a big deal.
Hey, I told you, too, I could throw a 20-yard out at the combine. I could throw a legit one.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I tell people, I'm like, yo, I'm an athlete.
That's one of the hardest throws in football.
Yeah, that's why I tell people that I could make that throw.
Well, especially if it's from the far hash.
Yeah, that's even further. Far hash, maybe we'll have to check back. We'll have to check back
Justin
a little bit.
Herbert.
Yeah. Let's not get too crazy.
Josh
But I
Allen.
can make that throw. But, dude, I feel as if the wide receiver position is the most unique in professional sports because you guys,
I know where you're going.
You guys break the huddle first. You're the furthest away from the ball. I never called a wide receiver a diva because especially when you start to understand the position, bro, you need 2 people to do their job for you to be successful.
Bro, you didn't went on YouTube and saw my takes around the wide receiver position. Why are you trying to take my words right now?
I have not. On everything, I have not. But that's, to me, like, you need the offensive line to be good in order for the quarterback to have times and then get you the ball.
Yeah.
Because, like, bro, I'm a New York Giants fan, so I've seen it with Odell all the time, getting the heat. And when Brady does it, he's passionate. When Odell does it, he's a diva. But you guys, to be productive, you need the rock. For you to make your money, you need to put up the stats.
Yeah.
You need the rock. There's no position like it in professional sports.
I don't know about professional sports, but definitely in football, and you've taken the words out of my mouth. Well, I will say this before we go ahead.
Well, no, the reason why I say professional sports is think of another sport where other people,
your livelihood is in the hands of others,
of 2 other people, 2 other groups.
It's more.
Yeah. So that's why I think it's the most unique position.
This is what I would say. And this is what I learned. It took me some time. You know, my agent used to tell me, Brandon, you don't have your FU money yet. You need to learn how to be diplomatic, right? And younger athletes, like we do need to learn how to control our emotions. It's a business, right? And that's the problem is it's so personal for us. Think about it. The game got me out of my situation. I was able to buy my mom a home on draft night. She ain't had no place. In college, I was sending my Pell Grant home to my mom. I ain't had no bread. You know what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters, people leaning on me. You know what I mean? So, like, that's personal. That's what got me through those tough times in college or even in high school, being out there 100 degrees and still got to push through, running tires, running hills, fucking mat drills, 5 a.m. in the morning, and you got to go. And you know what a mat drill is. Throwing up in a trash can. In that moment, you looking at your body hurting and you hovering over a trash can. The only thing I'm thinking about is my mom, my sister, Lil Ormani. Like, shit, he 1 year old. I got to do it for them. You feel me? So, like, when we get to the league, it's so personal. And so that's why you see all of that emotion coming out. That's what makes us really good at the sport we play, but it makes us bad in the boardroom, in business. That's still the boardroom we're out there on the field. So we have to learn how to communicate. And it took me some time to learn how to communicate with the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. So later in my career, what I would do is I would be in Sunday night, I'm watching film, but then I'm already getting a jump on next week's opponent. Monday, I'm walking in the office and I'm going to the offensive coordinator because they had that respect for me, right? Because they understood, the temperament of a wide receiver, especially someone like me. And so I was like, hey, here's my suggestions. Here's what I like for myself. This is what I like for Eric Decker on the other side. So if they start doubling me here, this is what we have. And they would put those in. So Wednesday come, my suggestions and my thoughts was there, right? If you're a player and you're waiting until Thursday, Friday, and you bitching because you didn't get the ball Sunday, like, you kind of wrong. So, but you got to do the work, right? And so,
were they receptive to this? Were they open? Did it take longer in your career for you to put up the numbers and to be that productive in order to gain their respect, or was that, year 1 or 2 when you were able to do that with the Cornelius?
Well, year 2, I just took off, right? Like, year 2, I took off. So, I got right into my career. I didn't have the capacity or the skills, the communication skills to be able to communicate any of this stuff. So I had to learn. It was around like year 5 that I, really start getting savvy with it, right? And so you have that, but you are 100% right, okay? Wide receiver position. My livelihood is in the hands of everyone else. Offensive line got a block. Mm-hmm. So you said too, that's why I said it's more. Because you got the offensive coordinator. Is he going to put us in position? Is he going to be smart to know that I got I'm trying to stop cursing. I got, let me see, someone who be getting hot. Stephon Diggs backside. What are we doing? Get him the ball. D-Hop, get him the ball. What are we doing? This presents the best chance for us to win. So the offensive coordinator got to do a great job. The quarterback also got to do a great job. Before we get to the quarterback, the offensive line got to block.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody else can do a great job. But then the quarterback gets smacked in the mouth. You know how many times I'm wide open, get off on somebody, pause, And then I hear, look back, Jay Cutler on his back.
Yeah.
Like, damn, that was a tug. You know what I'm saying? So then the quarterback, he got to drop back and do his job. Is he making the right read? Is he going with his gut? Does he understand that he got a dog backside? Like, it's one-on-one. Fuck all that other stuff. You come over here. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's where you see that emotion. So what I started doing, like, halfway through my career is I wouldn't talk to the quarterback or anybody when I came off the field. I would actually go to the sideline. I would journal. I called it noting. And I would have just positive stuff down. So I would like one game I went into the game and my goal was to smile and be crispy at the top of my routes, right? Like I had working with a mindset coach. And he's like, Brandon, you haven't smiled in 3 weeks. Do you know how contagious your smile is, especially to your team? So like the whole game, walk around like, that was one of my goals, nothing else, right? And then also top of the route. Like I run a route, drop a ball at the top. I mean, and I'm not going to the sideline pissed off about it. I'm thinking about like, yo, top of route was crispy, right? Like phenomenal job, check. And then what I would do is go to the quarterback, sit down and say, hey, what are you seeing? You know what I'm saying? I'm cooled off. You know what I'm saying? My mind's in a good place. And then I'm going to the quarterback and saying, yo, Jay, what do you see? And then I'll pull out the pad or the paper and be like, yo, you see this? Let's keep an eye over here, eye on this. And so you learn how to communicate the right way. And then also, last thing I would say to this is, as wide receivers, sometimes we are too emotional, right? Where it's like, when you are Stephon Diggs or if you are a D-Hop or a Devontae Adams, like most coaches know, like, we're going to get you the ball. Quarterbacks know, like, we got to get you the ball. Like, it benefits
obvious.
them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we be tripping.
Man, I just got the memo that we got to wrap up soon. I appreciate your time for coming on the show.
Let's go 10 more minutes.
A word?
Yeah,
okay.
I like you.
Cool. Thanks, man.
And you guys always bless me, too.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you.
We're like, we're turning into brothers.
I love it. Do you have any regrets from your playing career?
Well, the only thing that keeps me up at night is that I'm very goal oriented, and that I was so close to a few personal goals, and there's another thing as well.
Can you share one of the personal goals?
Yeah, like 970 catches. Like, what the freak? I couldn't hit 1,000. It just looks better when I'm sitting there when I'm 60 talking to my kids, my grandkids, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Granddad or
Had
daddy,
over 1,000.
yeah, 1,000. Like, you know what I'm saying? My numbers is already like really good, but like 1,000 just presents better.
It feels better to say too.
Right. And then also, if you look at, where I'm at on the chart, like I was literally 3 games away from passing legends, Tim Brown, freaking T.O. and this, and, Chris Carter's and stuff, like just a couple. Like I could have gone from like 15, 17 in some categories to 6.
Yeah,
just
top 10.
if my last year wasn't a bum year or my last 2 years wasn't bum years. You know what I'm saying? So like you have that 12,900 something yards or whatever it is. Like, damn, I couldn't get to 1,300, 14,000 or 13,000, 14,000. Again, you go from like 20 to like 7. You know what I'm saying? I thought I could finish my career in the top 5 in every single wide receiver category except for touchdowns. I got off to a late start in touchdowns. And so that keeps me up. And then also never making the playoffs keeps me up, right? Like as a competitor, see, I'm getting like kind of emotional now. Like as a player, it's like all I wanted was a chance. Like I wanted to see if I'm one of them. Yeah. Meaning like in the biggest moments, like the big players find a way to make some crazy play. Like you have this crazy legendary run. You know what I'm saying? It's like that basketball moment, game on the line. Is like I get the last shot, right? Like I wanted to do that in the AFC Championship or a Super Bowl, right? Like I wanted to test that, up against some of our greats, right? So like, I'm confident. I believe I have it, but I can't. I will never be able to, test that out again. So now I got to live through my sons, So hopefully I'm not one of them dads that's too much. But like, I'm like, yo, and that would be even better. I'll be honest, I'll be even better. Pop sitting back, you know what I'm saying?
Carrying your legacy.
Right. You cool, taking care of the business. They in a good place, and they out there just going crazy. Oh, my goodness.
Dude, I remember because I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I moved to Vegas about a year ago. September will be a year that I moved out here to work at the studio and to create my content here too. Dude, I remember that year. I took the city by storm, man.
Yeah.
That was
great.
that was a special year because you guys also played the Giants and you scored the game-winning touchdown in overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Regular
Listen, man, I'll be honest with you, bro. I know we're becoming like best friends over here on this pod, but I didn't really say the nicest thing about you when you scored that touchdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan.
What is it?
you know?
The Snoopy Bowl? That's what they call it?
Yeah, the MetLife Bowl.
Yeah, the MetLife Bowl.
How was your time in New York? Did you enjoy it?
Absolutely loved it. That's where I became a man and really like walked into my full self. And I was 32 at the time, 31. Like, and what I mean by that is like my personality. Like I really got comfortable in my skin. So on the football field, like the numbers speak for itself. Like I balled out.
But you're talking about everything outside.
Yeah, like it's like you get invited to these charity events, and it's like, okay, what's the attire? And they say formal, and I'm like, I don't really feel comfortable in that. I will go in like fucking cowboy hat or whatever I was wearing, like a dope dirt hat, some chucker boots, you know what I'm saying, whatever on, a lot of rings, jewelry, and it's like, this is what I feel comfortable in. And so like New York, I feel like I stepped into my manhood there, and I really felt comfortable in my skin for the first time. So like, love New York for that. And I also like, I get inspired by architect.
Yeah.
Like, so like driving in or flying in, because some days I used to chopper to practice, like Wednesdays, Thursdays, some Fridays I would chopper.
Yeah, that traffic is no joke, bro.
Yeah, like
I don't
I'm home
blame
in
you.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
But like like flying into the or driving into the city and seeing all of that, like I'm like, damn, like who owns that or who built that? Like I can do that. I believe I can do that. So like that's how my mind would work. And so like I would come in the city so inspired, and then I like the next day just made me go harder on the field and practice.
Is there any player right now in the league that reminds you of yourself?
Dog, yeah, like I'm, like when I think about that, it's just like a grit.
Can I tell you a guy that I think reminds me of you?
Yeah, for sure.
Terry McLaurin.
No, he's a most underrated wide receiver. Love his game.
Yeah, I've said that too.
Phenomenal. And he got a little oomph to him. But I'm like, you got to go with someone who like crosses the line every once in a while.
Okay, so I see
where you got to reel him in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like too much, like might fight in the tunnel or, like cross the line. Like
a little more rugged.
Yeah.
So
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. Okay, that's a good one too.
Like how he plays, but also he like, yeah, he you say the wrong thing, he might slap you. So I like AJ Brown. D-Hop got that, but he's like Mr. Zen. Like he has it in a very subtle way. But as far as like player, I would say AJ Brown. AJ Brown.
That's a good one, man. Yeah, he's a dog for sure. How much better do you think your career would have turned out if you played with one consistent, solid quarterback the whole time? Like, I think Randy Moss is the best wide receiver of all time, not Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
And, Jerry Rice got all the records, but he also played with 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember watching this video on YouTube, and Randy Moss was on a whiteboard, and he wrote down like 20-something names of quarterbacks that he caught passes from. It's like, yeah, the one year he had Brady, he went bananas.
Right.
Like, do you ever think about that? If you played with one like bona fide Hall of Famer for a decade, how different your career would be?
Well, I think that adds to the story because I'm a receiver too that played with a bunch of quarterbacks. I think I had maybe 18 quarterbacks or something like that. But like I think that's the story where it was like whoever was throwing me the ball still produced, still 1,000 yards, still 100 catches.
It didn't matter.
10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I think that's a cool story in itself. I think that, if Coach Shanahan never was fired, I feel like I contribute to it that year. And Jay Cutler, we all was together. We had won 2 Super Bowls, and the numbers would have been crazy. Like Jay was throwing me the rock. And the reason why I say I contributed to that is because I fumbled playing against Jacksonville in Denver, and I was like cooking, and I shook everybody, ran up the sideline, and fucking right before I was about to cross the goal line, nobody was around me. I just dropped the ball.
Was it because you thought you were going to score?
Scored, we would have won.
But did you do that like the Deshaun Jackson thing?
No, I just dropped the ball. And we were one game away from making the playoffs. So for me, when he fired him, I'm still close to him this day, I was like, damn, that was one game I lost for the team. We would have made the playoffs if we'd have won that game, and that touchdown would have actually secured the victory.
Damn.
I know. I got Coach Shanahan fired.
Damn. Well, hey, you add to the story, right? You said the story. Yo, last thing I want to ask you, man, and I can't thank you enough, Brandon, for your time, bro. This was an awesome conversation. Hopefully we can do this again sometime. Next time you pull up.
Anytime. You know, I'm going to say yes to you anytime.
Appreciate you, bro. I'm always fascinated by like schoolyard bullshit at the highest level. And what I mean by that is, you know, you'll go to the park, you might hoop. Or I played in some competitive like touch football leagues on Sundays. And whenever one of my boys, Brandon, our best receiver also, shouts to him, he'd line up on someone, we're like, oh, this is going to be food. Mm-hmm. Was that like that for you when you'd look at a matchup of a team you're playing? You don't got to name no names unless you want to help me go viral. But you ever like look at a matchup and you're like, oh, man.
I can name some names.
If I don't have 12 catches, it's going to be pathetic.
Yeah, I never really looked at it like that, like 12 catches. But like it was probably 98% of all corners. Darrelle Revis. So early in my career, Al Harris, OG, Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
He gave me challenges. And then, you know, they schemed me a lot with Green Bay. Charles Woodson was safety. He transitioned safety at the time. But when they played me, they went corner. And he gave me some challenges a couple of games. But for the most part, Darrelle Revis was the only one where it's like, I'm working on Darrelle Revis for a month, like watching everything, studying like crazy film, 2 notebooks worth of notes. So that was it. But the biggest thing for me was anybody that went one-on-one, like it's a wrap. Like, you know, you gotta cheat the safety to my side. This is
you're thinking.
Yeah, like you gotta treat the safety to my side, you gotta double me, you gotta vice me in the red zone. Like one-on-one, that's woof. Right? So like
that's food.
Yeah, so let me tell you, I'll tell you this, and this is my dog, Bumper Run Gilmore, when he was in Buffalo, loved it because they played one-on-one. You know, he morphed into the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
But playing against him, I love playing against Buffalo and them because they was going to play one-on-one. It was just going to be me and him, right? And probably about year 3, he started morphing into this dog. Like, he was already a dog. He was like Al Harris, had that type of personality where, you know, we would lock up and, like, tussle. It'll get real. But, like, shutdown, lockdown, year 3, year 4 for me, you know, against me. So he was one that I loved playing against. Vontae Davis, another one they would, I don't know why, especially when he was a Colts, they would play one-on-one a lot, and that was over. Who else played a lot of one-on-one? The Raiders played. You had Nnamdi. You know, I think they brought in D'Angelo. You know, me and Nnamdi had some classic battles, but I actually loved it because they were going to play one-on-one. You know, I didn't have to deal with all the double and all that other stuff. So, like, you know, the biggest thing was that. Another guy, though, that gave a lot of us problems, that's so disrespected, should be a Hall of Famer, I want to show him some love, is Asante Samuels.
Yeah.
Like, I hated playing against him.
Bro, I hated when the Giants would play against him because it feels like he had an interception every time Eli dropped back.
Right.
He was a dog for sure.
Yep. This was good. Charles Peanut Tillman in practice. We didn't like each other. We made up this past Super Bowl on a podcast. Like, we would literally, like, you talk about competition to the fullest in practice was crazy. And then I was able to practice against Darrelle Revis. We played together for the Jets. And, like, there was times where our battles from one-on-one would spill over into the locker room. Like, and we kind of came up in the same eras from the same place. You know, we're cool, but, like, it was intense. Champ Bailey, never beat Champ Bailey deep in practice. Champ Bailey, like, you talk about GOATs.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So, that's it, man. I appreciate the tequila. I appreciate the time. If I didn't have dinner reservation, I'll be honest with you, bro, I would have sat here for 2 hours with you.
Man, that's a good way to end this show, bro.
For real.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
For real.
Thank you. I try to, you know, I very rarely prepare questions like that. I kind of just like vibe and energy is how I like doing my content. But again, it means a lot that you took your time, and thanks for extending it, and hope the tequila was good.
It was good, bro. Like, I appreciate it. My guy.
Let the people know, if they don't know already, where they could find you and all the stuff you're working on.
Oh, okay. I'm a YouTuber now.
Let's
I'm
go.
an influencer.
Let's
when
go.
I first got in the league, you know, everybody was like, you want to grow up and do what? YouTube. What is an influencer?
Now it's like the number one go-to.
I'm an influencer. So
get it.
YouTube, Instagram, Twitter or X, whatever they calling it, Thread. So I am athlete, you know, House of Athlete, our social handles, and the @ B Marshall. So like everything's there. Like I feel like that's the new website, right?
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
new business card.
Oh, for
Go to
sure.
our social handles, right?
You'll find everything you need to over there.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Love.
At Nick Dais 10 as you can find me, all things Veterans Minimum, or at Veterans Minimum, and we'll catch you guys next time.